Make sure we have it recording on the computer, and we should be okay. All right, I think we are up and running. When you see the live button and you see the recording button, we're in good shape. So
Yes.
greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is our edition of All About the Authors. This is our authors chat and roundtable that we do every second and fourth Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the author, Andrew Snorton. We should have our co-host, Celebrity Source Tyra Satai, joining us momentarily. But as we do every second and fourth Sunday at about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have two guest authors that are doing some great work, not only with their books, but then their related projects. So it's a way for authors to get together, chat, discuss, encourage, and not only just each other, but for all of you out there that are watching. So the best ways to join us are going to be on Facebook Live. If you go to the Facebook Live for the page Author Andrew Snorton, A-U-T-H-O-R, Author Andrew Snorton, and it is shareable. So make sure to go ahead and visit the page. Go ahead and share it, because even if this is the first time that you connect with our folks, we don't want it to be the last time. So before we get into our guests, which I'm really excited about them being here, just a couple of quick things. On my end, the best ways to stay connected with me, as we said, Facebook, Author Andrew Snorton, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Author A. Snorton. And you can always email me at authorsnorton@gmail.com. A little bit later on, I'll talk a little bit about, my works and upcoming events, but we always like to take this time to really put more of the spotlight on our fellow authors. So today I am really excited. These are like two really, I'm just going to go ahead and say extraordinary. They might not look at it like this is what we do and this is how we do stuff. But like real talk, our guest authors today, Sandra and Octavian Braxton, I tell you what, they have their hands in a number of different things that are very constructive, very uplifting. They have been people I've been blessed to know the last couple of years, been very big supporters of me. And, they say turnabout is fair play. And so I'm pleased to introduce everybody to the husband and wife team. And that's another thing, husband and wife team.
Yes.
Sandra and Octavian Braxton, how are you both doing this afternoon?
We're awesome. Thank you so much, our alpha brother.
Hey, you know what? We know, and that's another thing, folks. We are extended family. My extended family from Zeta Phi Beta Sigma. So for people that don't know, Phi Beta Sigma established 1914 at Howard University, and then happy centennial to the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Also established at Howard. Yeah, go ahead. It's like I said, it's real good to see y'all. How are y'all doing today?
We are great and blessed to be here. Thank you again for having us, Brother Andrew.
I tell you what, appreciate you both. So do us a favor. Can you give our viewers a little bit of your backstory, where you are originally from and where you're based out of?
Okay, so me and my husband Octavian met in the Air Force. I'm originally from North Carolina, and he's originally from Virginia.
And if you don't mind me asking, where in North Carolina?
Rocky Mount.
Okay.
North Carolina.
Not too far down, down I-95, not too far outside of Raleigh.
Not far from you at all.
Okay, all right, bet. And then Octavian, where in Virginia?
Farmville, Virginia. It's like maybe about 45 minutes south of Richmond.
Okay.
Small town, yeah, but.
Okay, so two small towns in like the Mid-South and everything, and walk us through, your journey to getting where you're based, where you're based out of right now.
Okay, so like I said, we met while serving in the Air Force. And once I got out of the Air Force, I moved down here to Atlanta. And we were dating at the time. So my husband got out of the Air Force as well and then followed me here. And we got married since we've been here in Atlanta.
Yeah, about 22, 23 years now.
Wow. Congratulations to you both. Now, outside of being seriously accomplished authors. Can you walk through with us just a couple of the moving parts that you all have?
Okay, so right now I own a travel agency by the name of the Braxton Agency. And we, of course, here talking about the book, and which is entitled Why Not Us? Hopefully you guys can see it. And we're going to discuss that more a little bit later, but it's detailing our infertility journey. And we also have social media, one of which is called Let's Talk Fertility with San and Mac. So that's where we go on and do videos and share information in regards to fertility issues with couples.
Wow, those are some big things. Those are really big things. And I know your book is really kind of giving insight regarding your journey in living with. And I like to say living with versus have, because sometimes when you say have, that means it has dominion over y'all.
Exactly.
But you live with it and you're still living, you know, powerful, enriching, and engaging lives. Walk through a little bit before getting into the book. Pivot back a little bit to your series in regards to talking about your health journey. Could you walk through a couple of the themes and things that you guys cover as part of that?
Yeah, so we actually define what infertility is, because the crazy thing is a lot of people are not really sure what the definition of infertility is, which it really is when you're attempting or continually having sexual intercourse in attempts to have a pregnancy without any contraception for at least 12 months without a pregnancy occurring. So that's infertility. We also discuss the causes of infertility, some of the symptoms of infertility, and we discuss some other diseases surrounding infertility. So all of that, we have videos on our Let's Talk Fertility with San and Mac. So if you guys get a chance, go on Facebook in that group and access some of those videos, and it has really great information there.
And I'm glad you all are sharing that, because like you said, sometimes when we hear about a health issue or health challenge, our minds can go so far left and so far right. But it sounds like, you know, just from your life experience, doing the research, you're trying to make sure to share, based on what's known right now, best and credible practices, but also a sense of encouragement to people. Because even with the definition that you gave, some people aren't really fully aware of even, you know, what it really means.
Exactly. And the fact of the matter is, all of us know someone that has experienced some type of fertility issue, whether it be miscarriage or PCOS, or lumps on your breast, or, you know, within your fertility system, issues of those sort, that they can all contribute to fertility issues. Well, that's with the woman. A lot of people do not realize that men also have fertility issues, such as low sperm count, lack of blood flow to their testicle areas, and just not being able to produce a baby as well. So it's not just a woman issue, which a lot of people have that in their mind. They think fertility issue, oh, it's her fault. Well, it's nobody's fault, but it's her issue. But no, it could also be a man's issue. So that's why we encourage couples to go through this journey together, get tested, find out information, and go and talk to their doctor informally to find out what they can do going forward.
And I'm so glad you're sharing that, because like you said, sometimes when you hear something, you think like, oh, this is somebody else. It's only one person's issue.
Right.
The positive, you're sharing, hey, look, it's our issue. And I think that's good on so many levels, because sometimes people feel like they are battling a health issue all alone, or
Right.
like you said, it's really nobody's fault, but the
Right.
misperception is, oh, it's your fault. Something's wrong with
That's
that boy.
correct.
Something's wrong with you. Like that type of stuff. So I'm really glad that you all are breaking down, what you're doing in your, in your chats, your series, providing credible info and letting people know, look, it's regardless if it's one or the other, you still have to function as a team.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, that's how the marriage is going to work. And like she said before, with men, especially men of color, we're less likely to go to the doctor or even admit to the problem. And we're 2, sometimes 3 times more likely to have an issue with infertility than most whites or Caucasians. But a lot of that is underreported because we're not getting ourselves checked out. It's the same issue as though we have a pain in our neck or a pain in our back. We blow it off as though like it's a muscle pull or something. It'll go away in a couple of days.
Right.
And it's the same thing. We're not going to go to the doctor because we think it's little things until it gets to be a problem.
We struggle through
we struggle.
basically.
So then it becomes a problem in the marriage if it's something that you both are looking to strive, and it gets to see this me versus the wife type thing. And that's something we need to try to avoid, and that's one of the reasons why we wrote the book.
Correct.
Well, as we get into the book, just providing that resource, and not only for just one health piece of infertility, but the way that you're approaching it, that can be applied to almost any health challenge or any situation.
And any problem within your marriage too as well.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that you guys were sharing that and breaking that down. And I think, like I said, we know that there's someone out there, like you said before, that is living with this or trying to sort through that. And we're definitely going to make sure to remind people of that resource because we want people to be able to go there. But I think this is a good time to go ahead and pivot into your book, because it sounds like what you say from the book is what took you to that next step for doing your series, or kind of walk through how we know one kind of tied in with the other, but kind of walk through how that kind of worked itself out or played itself out.
Yeah, so definitely the book came before everything else. And how the book came about was I was talking to some of my military sisters, and I went to a networking event. And they were all talking about how they had written a book, and each of them, every last one of them were like, I wrote a book about this, I wrote a book about this. And they were like, we all have a story to tell. And so I was like, seriously, I never even considered writing a book. And on the ride home it was in Alpharetta, so that was an 1.5-hour drive for me. So I had
a good day.
Exactly. So I had a long ride home from that networking event, and I talked to Jesus all the way home. I was like, what would I write a book about? Just like that. He was like, somebody needs to know what you and Octavian went through in regards to fertility, in regards to the adoptions attempts, in regards to the pregnancy attempts, in regards to the miscarriage, in regards to his diagnosis of infertility. Because people do not realize it, and they would see your face and be like, oh, for real? That's what they're going through. They smile every time we see them. They're smiling. They have no clue what was going on behind closed doors, the turmoil that we felt in our heart, the amount of money that we were spending with all these different attempts. And the infighting is you. No, it's you. We got this doctor's appointment. I can't go. Why you can't go? I can't schedule an appointment. I don't want to go see the doctor no more. That kind of thing that we went through, all those different going back and forth, and how it played a part into different issues in our marriage. Yeah. And so we know and realize that other couples were going through the same thing behind closed doors and no one else knew, or it's probably a lot of couples that were going through it and ended up in divorce.
Nobody counsel about it.
Exactly, because they didn't go seek counsel, or they didn't share with anybody, or they didn't have an outlet.
They weren't vulnerable with each other.
Exactly, to get through it together. So we wrote this book to let people know that we've been through it. You can come out on the other side. There is light on the other side, and we're living a prosperous, great marriage without having children, and that is just fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're sharing all that. And as you were kind of walking through like a number of the themes and I'll say reflection of getting to this point, I want to take it back to one of the things that you talked about in your video series, where because people don't have a full understanding of infertility, sometimes they think it's one person's issue versus the other. When you look back at your journey early on, would you say part of the issue is not having a full grasp or full understanding of what it meant? And kind of like the things that you talked about was like, oh, it's this person. No, it's this person. I'm straight. Or could you like kind of, because when you were saying that, when you were talking about the video series and then you were talking about all these themes, I'm like, walk us through when for lack of a term, when this was first put in your lap, for lack of a better term, would you say part of the initial challenge was just having a grasp of like the full meaning of infertility?
Oh, most definitely. Because I was thinking, well, me personally, and I'll let him talk about what he was thinking. But me personally, I was thinking I hadn't gotten pregnant before because we were using birth control. So once we got off of birth control and it still didn't happen, I was like, well, maybe I was on birth control for so many years that my body is not able to do whatever I need to do. And so then I started going to see the doctor first, because in my mind, it had to be me. So I'm sure other women were thinking or begin to think the very same thing. They immediately say, oh, it must be me. It must be something I'm eating, something I'm not eating. I'm not exercising. I'm too overweight. Something's going on with me. So I went to the doctor alone at first and ran all these different type of tests that were very painful, but it was necessary to find out if I had an issue or not. And then the doctor, at my last testing, he was like, well, your husband's got to come in and get tested. And I'm thinking, well, he got to come in and get tested for? I'm sure I'm the problem. And the doctor was like, we cannot determine exactly what the issue is until you both have gone through every test necessary. And so that's when we ended up having the discussion of, okay, it's your turn, baby boy.
Yeah, I guess that wants me to talk, I guess.
Yeah. We're just gonna pass it to you. So Octavian, again, walk us through, because like you said early on, you're thinking, well, when I hear this term, this is what it means and what have you. So walk us through your growth from when this was first placed in your lap to gradually getting to where you are now.
Well, I was a young, virile man, strapping lad, of course. But I was comfortable in my ability to say, okay, then I need to go ahead and get checked out. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I would never say, I was never brought up to think that, I'll say this, I felt comfortable, vulnerable enough to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get checked out. I didn't say, yeah, it can't be me, it's got to be you. I never thought of it like that. But the more we went through it, and like I said, we had unprotected sex. I thought about the times when I was younger when I had unprotected sex with women. She's already know this, by the way, unprotected sex with women. Thankfully, I haven't caught anything like that. But it just came to my mind with some of the people that I have had relations with or entanglements that that I didn't. Nobody got pregnant, and I was like, damn, I'm favorably, I've been blessed not to have these issues.
Blessed by the God.
Yeah, I don't have any children outside of our marriage, and it just came to me that I had to go to the doctor and go ahead and find out why. And then I understood that I had a low sperm count. And it's only because I forget, because I was younger, exactly what the doctor told me. But I had a procedure done in order to correct that.
Mm-hmm.
He told me what needed to be done in order to make that happen. So it did happen where my sperm count came up. I did the necessary medication, exercises, what have you, in order to get better, because I know what it meant for not just for her, but for us in our marriage, or what we wanted for children. And this is before we went through the adoptions. This is before we actually went through the IVF. I had to be vulnerable enough to go ahead and say, okay, it can't be her. I understand her condition. I need to go find out what's going on with me and do what I need to do and make it right. And if any reason where if it fails short, then we need to make it to the next step in order to go ahead and make it happen for us to have a child.
Wow. And the fact that you guys are being, so open with it, again, like we're all saying, behind closed doors, we don't know what other people are or aren't dealing with behind closed doors. So now you've done your initial testing, you're doing your initial investment. What were some of your next steps in regards to really making sure that, for lack of a better term, you were gaining perspective, but in gaining perspective, that was your launching point for you to, to continue to live your purpose?
So after the initial test and everything, then the doctors basically told us to go and do what we do. So we spent, that's one of the chapters in the book.
Yeah.
Practice.
Yeah.
So that was the fun part of it. We was like, hey, what time is it? Let's go. It's time to go. We got something to do.
Yeah.
And so we spent plenty of time on the practice part. And then we were thrilled. This was right around Christmas, and I'll be honest, I can't remember which year, because to be honest, I block out some of that stuff because it brings up emotion. Right. But 1 year, right before Christmas, we found out I was pregnant. And so we were like, ooh, all that practice been working. He had the surgery. I've been doing what the doctor told me. Yes, we're about to have our baby. So we were thrilled. I'm telling you, that was like the best Christmas ever. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so anyway, not long after Christmas, I started bleeding. And I immediately started freaking out, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, something's wrong. And I was right. So I had a miscarriage. So that was the first miscarriage. And after we went to the doctor and found out what was going on with that, I ended up having to have surgery. And I had already had a previous surgery. And that surgery made me totally infertile, because it was an ectopic pregnancy. Yeah. So I'm not sure what you know about ectopic pregnancies, but what happens is when you're pregnant within your fallopian tube, they end up taking the tube out or cutting a section of the tube, which leaves the tube inoperable. You can't use it, basically. And what people may not realize is that the egg travels through the fallopian tube to get to the uterus in order to get pregnant or impregnated by the sperm. So yes, they had already taken out one of my fallopian tubes. They took out the second fallopian tube, and I was devastated. I didn't know anything about the different procedures that were available to become pregnant without using your own fallopian tubes at the time. And during that surgery, I was depressed. I went into a state of depression. And but afterwards, after we came out of that, then I started doing research, and that's when we found out about IVF, which is in vitro fertilization. And so we ended up going down that road. And at that time, Oh, I'm sorry. At that time, IVF, which it
No,
probably still, it was very expensive
15,000 a pop,
each
at least.
each time.
Yeah,
what? How much?
15,000 a pop.
$15,000.
Now, understand, this is not something you can take a loan out on, you know, to pay for.
Right.
Yeah, that comes out of your pocket.
Right. And so at the time, I had a 401k with quite a bit of money in it. Needless to say, we went through that money. And so that was, I mean, because we would go through the IVF session and then it wouldn't work. Each time you go through an IVF session and it doesn't work, that's another 15,000. It's like you ain't pay nothing. I ain't seen your check before. You got to give me another check. So we went through that a couple of times, and one of the times we actually did become pregnant.
Triplets, by the way.
With triplets. And the
Wow.
pregnancy was not good. And you're gonna have to, oh look, I hate to say you have to read the book. I hate when people say that, but it's so much detail in the book. I mean, I told you everything, how I felt about everything that we went through
over a course of what, 5?
No, it was total of 12 years, of infertility. Not just when we found out, then the first miscarriage, then the IVF sessions, and then after we went through the IVF sessions and spent all of our money that was in the 401k, then we started attempting to adopt. Mm-hmm. And one thing, I mean, because we've had people tell us this before, oh, just go and adopt a kid because there's so many of them out there.
Yeah.
That's what you hear a lot.
Yeah. Oh, honey, I can tell you a lot of stuff I done heard a lot of, but it is not that easy to just go and adopt a kid. Now I understand why it's so many children in the system. It is not easy, and that people need to read our book to hear about the things that we went through when we were trying to adopt. So we didn't adopt because we didn't want to adopt. We didn't go through, the adoptions failed for multiple different reasons, and had nothing to do with our desire. It had to do with laws. It had to do with finances. It had to do with a lot of things. And so you really need to read that to have an understanding of why couples without children, some may not adopt, especially couples of color. You'll see on television, white couples flying over to Japan or China and adopting a child. Honey, ain't nobody got no $100,000 laying around, not in the Braxton household, to do that. And so we're talking about different things that you have to go through. And then all the while we're going through all of this, I'm emotional, I'm crying. People are like, why y'all ain't having kids that don't know what's going on?
Right.
And once they say this to my face and I'm like, oh, we're trying. Oh, we're going to get to it. Then I go in the room and close the door and bust out crying. Because I'm like, they don't know that I just spent all my money in my 401k, that we just tried to adopt. And the girl basically was like, we drove up in a Mercedes and she was like, well, if you pay my rent and you pay for this and you pay for that, then I'll sign the papers. Otherwise, we ain't signing no papers. And so it's a lot of stuff that we went through. Like the time we did almost adopt, went to the hospital, had the nursery was set up and everything, y'all. The girl changed her mind as soon as she had the baby and saw the baby. But guess what? We had already paid for an attorney. We had set up the nursery and spent thousands of dollars on that. We had drove to the hospital expecting to drive home with a baby in the back. The car seat was in the back. We was expecting to drive home with a baby in the back seat. And she did not sign the paperwork. So guess what? We had no rights. So these are things that people don't know that couples go through. And a lot of couples don't want to talk about it because it's so painful. I'm telling you, for years after that happened, I could not open the door to the nursery. We left it just the way it was because I couldn't go in the room.
For 2 years.
But I left the door closed because I couldn't even walk past it without crying. But those are the types of things that people go through. And then, like I said, you're still having people coming and asking, well, when are you guys having a baby? Oh, you got that nice big house and you have no children? Oh, you're driving a Mercedes. Oh, you spend all your money on your car instead of having children. They selfish. Oh, they just went on a cruise. Oh, them couples that don't want to have children. And all of this we went through. And so when I had a chance to write this book to share what really happened, I jumped on it and did it. And we've had a lot of friends after they read the book call us and say, we didn't know. Mm-hmm. We're sorry. We assumed this. Right. Or we thought this. I'm like, it is totally not, what you think. And don't assume different things from the outside in a marriage, because it's so many other things that could be going on behind closed doors. But we wanted other couples to know that they were not alone in these different struggles, in these different issues, in the infighting, in the desire and wanting for a child and it not happening, but you are still able to live a productive life.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to have, because Ty was able to join us from her 5,100 things. This is one of,
hey, Ty!
When I say 5,100, like for real, fellow author, doing big things in arts and entertainment. So Ty, I'm going to pass it to you because I know you caught on and I could just tell, how captivated you are. So I know you've got some things you'd want to ask. So please go ahead.
It's so many things going on in my head, and I apologize. It was pretty much nothing I could do about it. My life is full of acts of God, and I learn, and I know you can understand this better than anyone, just hearing your testimony, that you have to learn how to push through and just keep going and don't sit in that place.
The flow, girl. Exactly.
Yeah, you just gotta go. You gotta, you gotta pick them. You gotta pick which battles is worth putting a lot of energy in. And
exactly.
I knew, for me, this interview was so important because my sister and my brother-in-law have dealt with some of the same issues that you've dealt with, and I just wanted to hear your story. I wanted to just really like soak it all up and to better understand, what not just them but other friends that I have went
Mm-hmm.
through, that they don't really talk about it that much,
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have a heart like mine that's just very compassionate, you always want to think of like, what can you say to maybe soften the blow or heal the wound, because like you say, most friends I've interceded many times in the conversation when it's a family reunion, the baby shower of the friend, always in the wedding, and people want to know, one thing when you're single, they want to know when you get married. Then when you get married, they keep wanting to know,
it's
why you're not having
something,
a baby.
Girl. It's always something. They ain't never satisfied.
Never satisfied. So, I was thinking the whole time when the issues that I had going on, I said, now I really needed to be a part of this, not just hear the post story, but to be a part of it, because there are things I wanted to know.
Mm-hmm.
But the devil can be a little busy, but he's not taking full control, because I still got my moment with you all. And I just want to say thank you for being very transparent. Thank you for being open. You are a beautiful couple. And I, although you talked about the pain, I can see so much glory on you through the screen. You know, I can see so much glory on you, because that had to be painful. I have one child. And I had my child very young, and sometimes I say, you know, I missed some things because I wasn't in it like I needed to be in it. But of course, when you're younger, you're all over the place. But even when I hear your story, it makes me appreciate things a little more.
Exactly.
And it also helps me to have a little more sensitivity when I'm dealing with people, or when I see couples, not asking them the first thing you ask them is when you're having a baby, because it's not that they don't want to have a baby.
Right.
I want to ask you a question. So now, where do you feel like you are now? Where are you now?
Okay, so I don't know if you mind about talking about age, but honey, I'm 50, so I'm happily 50 and married without children. But of course, I mean, back in even out in my 40s, if someone came to me with a baby, and maybe to be honest, right now they probably come with a baby. He gonna be like, yeah, she gonna be like, where the baby at? But right now, I'm just content with my life, with helping other people, with sharing the information, with being a mentor or a listening ear or whatever. I'm very content with that, to be very honest with you.
But that's good to know. And I would like to ask Mr. Braxton a question.
Okay.
Mr. Braxton, who seems like he has such a humble spirit.
You tell he the humble one, honey. I'm a hot mess.
You the firecracker. I already know. I sense that spirit as well. And because of that, this question is gonna be kind of funny, but you know, it could go both ways. How did it make you feel? How did you handle it? Because I know I'm not a man, but I'm just saying, from a man's perspective, when you're dealing with us and we want what we want, and we're a little feisty, and we constantly pulling and tugging, and you being the type of husband that you want to give your wife what she wants, whether it's a Mercedes or a nice house or a baby,
yeah, a little bit much. I don't know about Mercedes though, but okay, go ahead.
How did it? I mean, were there a time, like she talks about, and that's the thing, I'll talk about later about, my passion for journaling, because I always feel like men don't express as much as women do. How did that make you feel? Like, was there ever a time when you felt depressed and you wanted to give her that baby, but you knew you did everything that you could?
I'm one of those types that accept things as they are. I'm more worried about her and her mindset than, what I felt. I mean, the only thing I have my chapter in the book where I worry about legacy. I come from a big family, and all my brothers have children. And the fact that I don't have children of my own is knowing that, and I don't necessarily blame her or myself or anything like that. It's just what it is. I just have to accept the fact that I have nothing to pass on to someone, knowledge or property or what have you, to someone of my own, from one of our own loins or what have you. I said it bothered me when I was younger, but like her, as we got older, we got to a point where we're fine how we are. We have godchildren. Unfortunately, they just get thrown in our family. They throw us our way. We have nieces and nephews that we see all the time. We take care of. We mentor children that we have relationships with, and that right there to me is our legacy. Knowing that there's some imprint of us, there's some part of us that's going with those children, even though they're not a part of us. Knowing that they do know who we are, because eventually, as we get older, to the point where we'll be in our 70s, that we want to have someone to come knock on our door, give us that phone call, and to say hi. I think that what worries me in that aspect is that those kids don't know who we are, and whether I leave this earth or we leave the first, or she leaves earth first, there's someone there for us. Knowing that our knowledge was given to that child, and that they can take that out there into whatever personal life they want to do. So in that aspect, I do feel sad, but I want to make sure that she's okay and she's content with that. And the fact that we can go ahead and travel, or she can go ahead and get a Mercedes, that makes her feel good, that's fine. But knowing that we're still together and our marriage still works, that's was something that I can say that we transcend that type of that need to have children. We're working, we're doing all right. Well, I'm good.
I love the way you answered that question. And so many things, I'm trying to compartmentalize things with what you're saying. One, leaving a legacy, and a lot of times, you know, we think, I work with a lot of legends, so when you think about legends, you kind of correlate legacy, right? And what I've learned so much about being in a position of whether it is being a legend, being a mother, being a father, doesn't necessarily make you a legacy or not a legacy.
Exactly.
Okay, it's what you impart, it's what you leave is what makes you a legacy. And let me assure you on another note, I have a godfather who is a minister, and I'm his only baby, and he didn't birth me. Okay. I'm his only baby. I'm his favorite girl. He never had kids. He never had biological kids. And now that he's getting older, he want to talk about, well, he gonna leave me. I don't want to talk about that. I was like, you ain't got to go nowhere. And exactly. I love him so much. I love him so much. And my biological father is alive. I have and I'm his favorite too.
You a lot of favorites, girl.
Everybody's favorite. Yeah. But I'll say this, I have a different relationship with my biological father than I do with my godfather. But it's so special. Like, it's so, like, I tell him stuff that it's just ridiculous. It's so funny, you know, the relationship that we have. Right. And it's you know, when you were saying about, I want to make sure somebody stop and check on me, I promise you this, I went home to Louisiana and I stopped by, and I try to sneak up because he's not married, you know, so I heard he had a girlfriend, so, you know, I just pop up now. I don't want to call, I want to check in, you know, I just want to cause no issues. And so, you know, but I leave stuff, and he said, Gail, I knew you was here. I said, you know, I could tell you was here, but he said he could tell by my truck marks in his road. But I leave stuff. I leave just cracker, anything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I always check on him, you know. And I said, I'm gonna leave you. I left some masks. I said, make sure you wear your, when he called me, I said, make sure you wear your mask and don't make me come out there. And I always, like, you know, Father's Day, he gets the Father's Day, he gets all of that. And, you know, I feel like when you pour into people and you love on them, and you have to make sure you're picking the right seed to sow into, because just because people, you know, a lot of times people see godparents as an advantage, like, you know, I don't really want to deal with my kids. Unfortunately, there's so many people who don't even want their children are popping them out like, you know,
it's horrible.
Like it's nothing, right? And so they'll try to find great godparents like yourself to help financially, and not really nurture the relationship as it should be. For a godparent, it's such a great honor, and it's a privilege. And it's not only that, it's an important role for not just the godparent to give, but also the child to come back and do you need anything, Nana? Empowering. Do you need this? Do you need that? Whatever, those type of things. And we've just been blessed to have that relationship throughout my being a kid. I remember just so many things he done for me. And as an adult, I feel like it's my responsibility to give back to him. When he was in the hospital and he had an accident, he had issues with blood pressure. He didn't know it, and somebody found him. I had a heart attack myself. I rushed to the hospital. He lives in Mississippi, And I told my job I ain't gonna be able to come to work. I said my dad in the hospital and I can't come back to work until he get out. And that's how I felt about it. You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
you know, I just want to assure you that, you know, when you're now, there was a period between like, you know, 16 and 19. I was just like, can you give me some money?
That's everybody. Everybody goes through that.
But if you have biological kids, they don't really care about
doing the same thing. Exactly. Exactly.
Right. But if you do the part that you can and make sure that God is really, you know, giving you direction, those kids will come back. They will see about you. They will love on you, because there are people who have biological kids that don't come back and see about them. Understand that.
True.
It's a lot of people. My mom worked in a nursing home, and she was a nurse there, and she said they got people, kids just waiting for them to die. They never come to call and see if they're still alive. So, you know, I'm saying all these things to let you know that, you know, even when we don't understand it, God knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
And he knows what he's doing. And even though we want, you know, you want that child, there are women who never get a great husband. There are men that never get a great wife, and not have a person that you can go on cruises with and spend time together and do all those things. There are people with kids and they in jail, and they have the burden of their child being in jail their whole life. And so that's not a joy either. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Variables where you could be, you think you have a child and still not be at peace.
Exactly.
And so, you know, when I look at you all, I'm just, you know, although you've been through a lot of pain, I'm just thankful for you being an example for myself and for Arthur Snorton to say, because we're single, you know what I'm saying? That look at you all, you know, even being an amazing married couple.
Exactly. It can happen. It can happen.
It can happen. And there's so many legacies that you can leave behind. And let me tell you, you know what I'm saying? There is going to be, you know, and so you have to think about how you switch your prayer, okay? Because I had to learn that. Like, you know, you go from, you know, Lord, you know, I want a baby, I want to adopt. And so now you're saying, Lord, give me peace in the place that I'm in. And then you ask God to, you know, show us that special daughter, that son, that special one. I know we have a lot of people around us, but that special one, and you know, pour into that one, that seed. And when you leave, you'll have someone that's gonna take care of you, and you can leave whatever it is, like you said, property, those things that will honor your name, that will honor what you've done. You know what I'm saying? And in the process, you all are an amazing couple to show African American men and women that, hey, you, before you even have babies, you need to learn how to be a good couple.
Exactly.
You need to learn how to be good individuals so you can be having a good marriage.
Right.
But having babies and y'all raising hell every day.
Yeah. I mean, ain't nothing good about that. Yeah. Exactly.
So I just celebrate you all, you know, because y'all are just, I mean, I just, it's just so exciting, even though to see you look so amazing and just have this glow despite what you've been through. You're such an amazing testimony. And so I just want, if, you know, so many feelings I feel, but if I can leave that with you, is that you are a legacy. You have a legacy. I look at you all as legends, because baby, y'all been through the fire and the pain, and you came out as pure gold. You're looking amazing. You're here to tell your story. You're here to tell your story. And so, you know what I'm saying? So be bold in the process of it and the glory of it, because when you see these ninjas on, and they saying y'all on a cruise, you tell them, hell yeah, y'all on another cruise.
And we having a good time too.
And we got two more that's coming up, you know? Because a lot of people got kids and they ain't even happy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's true. You know? That's true.
Oh, yes. Especially during this pandemic, baby. Them children driving them crazy. They
trying to drop them off over here, honey.
Wow.
Yes, so I thank you all so much for sharing your story. You just, I was really, and my spirit was it was tart when I got on here. But you have reminded me of just So how does this lessen the problem? Even though things are not the way we want them, that we're still here, and there's a reason to smile. And I just thank you for that.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like you said, like we said before, legacy comes in different forms. The book that y'all have written is already a legacy because it's letting people know, like you said, you can get through this.
Yes.
The series that you're doing, it's sharing and imparting, wisdom, knowledge, understanding. The way that the both of you work with each other is also a testimony that it can be done. Let me ask you this, and you always are like on the horizon. Writing wise, what do you think is on the horizon for y'all?
Okay, so I have been throwing around a couple of ideas for more books. So we're most likely going to write another book together, and I want to do a compilation with other women because prior to this marriage, I was married before, and it was domestic violence involved. So I want to delve into that as well because what happened in that marriage transcended into this marriage, some things. And so it's a couple of books we wanna write. We just haven't sat down and started putting pen to paper yet. And I know my husband has some projects he want to work on too.
Yeah, right now I'm working on the my family dynamic because, like I said, I come from a large family, and Farmville is one of those, the town from Virginia, the place I come from. There's a lot of history behind that, and how I guess my family came up from that to having all my aunts and uncles having at least master's degrees, and there's 9 of them. So, that's amazing to me that my grandmother thought more of them to send them to different places around the United States so they can get the education that they needed to become who they are, which in turn, how that transformed to the grandchildren and what we're doing going forward. So that's something I'm working on, is basically the history of our family tree. It's a big project, but I really want to go ahead and get that done before, things start happening. So we lose that because, it seems like every generation, and like I said, with the legacy portion of it, every generation, our children getting further and further away from us because, of course, life takes over. And I don't want them to forget that, that portion of it, because some of our nieces and nephews have never been in that type of structure where we would gang together and we were singing Christmas carols every Christmas. And, we got together as a family on Thanksgiving and things like that, even though we came from different parts of the world, because, Army brat, that we somehow lost that. And what is the result of that now, in the past 20 years? So that's something I wanted to write about.
Well, I tell you what, those are some great concepts, great projects, and you've already got a great first book, which is already making an impact. So we're definitely excited to see these things come into fruition.
Yes,
so
sir.
As we're getting ready to kind of wind things down, please let people know, again, the title of your book, the best ways for people to purchase your book to support you, and your preferred contact info, and remind people of your ongoing health series.
Okay, awesome. So this is the book. It's entitled Why Not Us? Hopefully you guys can see it. And the subtitle is Our Story of Infertility, Loss, Pain, and Overcoming It with Love. That's very important. But that's available on Amazon and Kindle. And our preferred method to contact us is The Braxton Agency on all social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're what else are we on? I think those 3. But our talking about infertility, we have a Facebook group entitled Let's Talk Fertility with Sand and Mac. So if you go on Facebook and search for that group, That's where you'll find all of our videos where we discuss infertility, causes of infertility, some of the things we went through, and other things regarding the book. But we are so happy to be here. We thank you guys again for having us.
Real cool.
Yes, and the book, we wrote the book 4 years ago, if you can believe that, and it's still selling today. That lets you know that what we're discussing is very important, and people still going through it and still dealing with it. And if they need to speak with us or to get in touch with us, we're available, like I said, on social media under The Braxton Agency. Reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to contact you guys, mentor you, or discuss whatever you need to discuss in regarding fertility.
I tell you,
you know what I always say, a book will always be new to the people who don't have it. So it will always be new, you know. And I tell people a lot of times, you know, they'll feel rushed to create a different, and if it's something that, you know, you're led to do a different book, that's fine, but don't never disregard your first book.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it never gets old.
Right.
It's always new to the people who haven't had it, and definitely a book like yours that's impactful. I definitely wanted, like, get it for some friends, like I said, that's been through similar things. And when I'm looking at you, I think about them, that the friends that I have and family members that have experienced dealing with with a loss of a child and being infertile, things of that nature, they are very happy. And they are extremely happy. And you know, you look and you say, you could often look and say, you know, gosh, you see their kids running around and you think that could have been us. But so many of women and men look at you guys and say, oh my God, like my sister and my brother, they have the most amazing relationship and they are so happy, and they do so many amazing things together. And so, you know, we can always see, you know, something in another person, or something that we may have desired or whatever, but we have to just look at what's right in front of us.
Yes, you have to be happy with what God gave you, whatever that is.
Whatever conditions you're in.
Whatever condition you're in, it's a rainbow somewhere.
Yes, there is. And I just want to thank you all so much. Y'all have definitely you had me caught up in, when you were telling the story, I got emotional, but you know, when you got to the end, there is a rainbow. You all are the rainbow. And I want to thank you just again. It's just beautiful, beautiful story. I know it seems probably some people like, what is she talking about? But I just see it a whole different way. And it's just, you're all a beautiful couple. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you guys again for having us.
Definitely. So what we'll do as we get ready to close out, again, ladies and gentlemen, this might have been your first time connecting with any of us, but please don't let it be the last time. Both Sandra and Octavian, a powerful story that they've shared, but there's even more powerful stories to share. So as impactful as you are right now, there's still just the tip of the iceberg. There's more to it. So y'all continue to move forward, you know, press forward with what you're doing. It's needed. It truly is. To Ty, you know, my partner right here, you know, all your moving parts, you know, hey, look, it's a pleasure doing this with you. You're like, hey, we need to do this. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
You guys are doing an awesome job. Thank you for what you're doing.
It's honestly, it's a team effort. It really is. And we
He's
know.
The captain. I just jump on like I did. Sometimes he start moving without me, and I just catch him at the next stop.
That's okay. As long as the train's still moving.
That's right.
But no, we enjoyed doing this. We learn a lot from our peers who have written and their talks and their walks. And I think, you know, and Ty's gonna share her thing, but you know what? Hearing y'all and every other author we've had on, that's part of the reason why we here and part of the reason that we keep going. So, you know, it helps everybody, not just the people watching. It helps us as well. Ty?
I really don't have much to say. You haven't said so much.
Well,
It's amazing how I can jump in late and still have a whole lot to say. But their stories are amazing. And I just want to say again, thank everyone who joined us, and make sure you share this story. It's a million, billion, trillion people out there who've experienced the same issue.
Yeah.
When we're in a storm, we often think that we're alone, and we're not.
Right.
Okay? And so
We're
I
not.
ask that, the people that will be on your page, my page, the Braxton's page, to just continue to, tag a friend that have experienced something like this. Continue to share. I promise you that you will help someone, you will encourage someone, especially during a time like this pandemic. Because when the idle mind is the devil's workshop, and when you're sitting there and you can't move around and be as busy as you normally are, of course the devil's going to find all kind of ways to fight. Everything, every trial, every storm, everything you've been through, every fight you've been through in your life, he's going to remind you of it. So this is something that I know someone is probably struggling with right now and need help. So I encourage you to make sure you share this, make sure you connect with the Braxtons, and get the book. Sometimes like I want to get it for somebody else. Sometimes it's not about you. Maybe you see something. You got Mr. Stewart. He just always jump in his business. He just released a new amazing book as well. Like sometimes it may not be something that you're necessarily connected with, but someone else that can bless. And so I want to encourage all the viewers that are listening right now to bless someone else that you may need this. And of course, you can find me on all social media outlets at Fire, FIYAHTY, Fire Tyresa Tide. I'm here for you. I love you, and I want to support you as well as you support me in all walks of life. Mr. Stewart?
All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, just again as a reminder, connect with me on Facebook, author Andrew Snorton, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, author A Snorton. Email me at author A Snorton. And I'll just say the last thing, August 29th, I'll be at Young, Gifted, and Black children's books and workshops. So, of course, bring your masks. Please bring your masks. We're doing a book signing there from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. So I'll have the new book, Nothing Minor, which looks at minor league baseball. Obviously, minor league ball is not going on. But even if you're not necessarily a fan of the game, the people who are interviewed drop some real, I'll say, universal pieces. Some of them are actually on major league rosters right now. There's even a section on the Negro Southern Leagues Museum, which a number of people might not be aware the Negro Leagues is celebrating their centennial, their 100th year. So if you can, or just share the info, it's already out, but please be out and about for next Saturday. And to everybody, until next time, please stay safe, stay encouraged, keep moving forward. And if you don't remember any of the details, if you just remember what's been talked about today, especially from our guests, you continue to move forward. There will be some setbacks, but as they've said, those setbacks are what you're set up for your comeback. And most times you come back even stronger and harder and making even more of an impact than you did before. So all of y'all, until next time, be safe, be encouraged, and we will do this again the second Sunday of September, which on the calendar will be September the 13th. So, a little bit longer when the second Sunday comes up, but again, that's when we'll do this next one. And the final thing for anybody, previous authors, folks who are watching, if there are authors that you feel that need to be on this platform, please direct the info to me or to Ty, and we're going to go ahead and do what we can to get you on and just share our platform, basically. So again, until next time, seriously, everybody, please take good care. Continued blessings and encouragement to all of you that are out there, and we will see y'all soon. You just finished watching All About the Authors. Make sure to add All About the Authors 520 on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and make sure to check us out. We'll see you.